Hey, good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Cliff, good evening. How are you? Craig, always a pleasure, buddy. How was your day? Jeff, good evening. My name is Mike Avery, and this is Wednesday Night Live. Hey, Joe. John, how are you? Hey, John, have you even started to think about that Ohio trip? You getting excited yet? Johnny Bowler, how you doing, buddy? Johnny, don't you just love all that free stuff you get? Michelle, if I didn't say hi, hello now. Hello, Mike, good evening. How are you? And we'll see if I did not loop the video. I didn't. Good. Perfect. Well, Johnny, what do you mean you missed this morning? What, do you got other things to do in the world? You got more important things to do than spend time with us on Wednesday Night Live? You got work to do? What is it? I don't think you're finally plowing snow now, are you? Hey, Steve, how are you? John says they are excited. Excellent. I think you'll have a good time. Lawns have been rough, eh? They're growing so fast right now. I mean, my lawn is growing like crazy. I mowed it 2 days ago. I'm going to mow it again tomorrow. Hey, Bernie, how you doing? How you feeling? 100% yet? Johnny says he loves all the free blinds I give him and the free advertisement I give him too. Well, you're welcome, Johnny. A lot of free things in this world. Thank you, Sal. Appreciate it. Sal watching over on YouTube. Yeah, I get 3 to 4 cuts a week. Are you saying a week, Joe? No, it can't be 3 or 4 a week. No. Hello, Mike. How are you? Glad to have you along with us, Michigan outdoorsman. Ross, I hope your visit to the dentist wasn't too bad this morning. Yeah, I'm going to try to get out Sunday, Tony. Try to get out Sunday. Hello, Jason. Appreciate you being along with us. Twice a week for yours. Anyway, this is Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mike Avery, live on my Facebook page, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Wisdom teeth. Aren't you kind of old to get your wisdom teeth pulled? Robert, I will be up there. I'm heading up Friday morning to White River. I'm going to make it a quick hunt. The first respectable bear that walks in front of me is going to get an arrow through the lungs. But yeah, I'm going up Friday to White River, hunt with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. Not holding out for anything spectacular, anything special. First respectable bear that walks in front of me, turns sideways and puts his armful, his front leg forward, is going to get shot. I know you would, Johnny. You like that picture with my truck and the Angler Qwest, huh? I don't have any of the gear on the new boat yet, but I will. Thank you, Robert. So, Rob, we're going to see you up there, are we? Thank you, Josh. It'll be as much of a shakedown cruise as anything. You know, you're supposed to have to passes on a single lawn to disperse. Okay, gotcha. It passes on a single lawn, 3 to 6. Now I got you. What happened with what, Ross? I'm not following you, Ross. Ryan got a Merriam last week. A Merriam turkey. Excellent. It did look big when it was on the trailer out of the water, didn't it? It's 26 feet long, but it looked like about a 35-foot boat. It made that ZR2 of mine look small. Also made the rear end of that ZR2 squat down a little bit. People say, hey, you need air shocks. Well, you know, if I was trailering the boat on a regular basis, but I trailer a boat 40 miles once or twice every 2 years. It's just not worth it to put any kind of additional suspension on there. But it did look pretty big. Did look pretty cool. It's on the water now. It's up at Linwood Beach. They did a final, they did a shakedown cruise on it. They did a water test on it. What did they do? Linwood Beach put a prop on it. They put a different battery in it. Linwood Beach also swapped out the trolling motor. I didn't like the trolling motor it was on. It was too big. It stuck into the seating area too much. Plus, I never used the thing. What else? Had to put the MC numbers on it. Had to do a little something with the Bimini. I think that was it. Oh, and add my waypoints and configure the autopilot. Now it's done. Yeah, Ross, I should be up there. Yeah. Hey, Tommy, how are you? Charles, good evening. How are you? Appreciate you joining us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. So here's what's going on in my world. I do have the boat, the Angler Qwest. I picked it up at the plant at St. Louis, Michigan, Monday. Trailered it over to Linwood Beach. They're getting it ready for the water. They splashed it. They did some final checking on it. It's ready to go. It's an 8526 Pro Troll. It's got a 300 horse Merc XS 4-stroke on it. Nice. So I think I'm going to be good to go. I should be able to fish maybe one time before I head up north to White River, because I haven't. Well, I wasn't going to try to run the boat across the bay today because it's crazy with the northeast wind. Tomorrow looks the same. Friday looks pretty good, so I'm going to run the boat across the bay Friday after I get out of the radio studio. I have to record a show Friday for the weekend of the 10th. So I've got 3 radio shows in 1 week, which is always nice and fun and tough to do. Plus, you throw a holiday in there, plus a trip downstate, and time's getting real short. So I will consider myself fortunate if I get 1 day on the water in before I head up north. That's also, though, why I want to make it a quick trip up north, because the fishing's just so good. I don't want to be away from it very long, but I also don't want to miss my bear hunting trip. So, hey, Joe, how are you? Where'd you go? There's Joe right there. How you doing, buddy? Appreciate you joining us tonight from Northern Michigan. Don, good evening to you. Randy, good evening. Uncle Johnny, how you doing? Uncle Johnny's the guy who's going to pick me up Friday after I run the boat across from Linwood Beach. The guys at Linwood Beach are great. I mean, I can't say enough about those guys. Beautiful facilities, great location. In fact, Linwood Beach is featured on the radio show this week, as long as I'm talking about it. Jason Graham of Send It Charters is my opening guest on the show this week. He talks about Saginaw Bay walleye fishing. This guy has it dialed in. Then Chris Kreiner talks about summertime, nighttime coyote hunting. Shelby Adams from the DNR on the process of clear cutting. You might not like clear cutting. You might think it's ugly. You might think it's bad for Mother Nature. DNR biologists say just the opposite. It's very good. They explain why. The Ask Avery question deals with a November 15th firearm gun season opener. Will we ever see it? And in our third hour, it's Sarah Kimar from Kimar's Charters on Lake Superior talking about going out to Standard Rock. They call it the Rock. Going out to the Rock to fish for lake trout. And, of course, Wild Game Chef Dixie Dave Miner wraps it all up. Julie, good evening. How are you? Hello, John. Steve, always a pleasure, buddy. Mark Young, glad to have you along with us as well. Hey, Steve, nobody's on the water tonight, are they? Nobody's out on the bay as I look out the window? It's not a place in fact, I was going to, if I was going to do, I wanted to do a Wednesday Night Live tonight from the boat at the slip, just walking you through the boat. And I thought it's going to be just nasty out there at Linwood Beach. It's going to be so windy, you won't be able to hear me. It's going to be cold. The boat's going to be moving all over in the slip. So I said, we'll just wait. So here's my tentative plan. Of course, next week, I will do a Wednesday Night Live. Let me check schedule. I might be able to do a Wednesday Night Live from the boat at the slip, at the dock, next Wednesday night and walk you through her. The 7th, I probably won't be home. I might be home. I'd like to be home by the 7th. And then I'm thinking on the 14th, I haven't talked to Brad about this, Brad Dupuy, but we're shooting for on the 14th, doing a Wednesday Night Live fishing with Brad Dupuy, Mr. Angler Qwest. Limit yesterday and Monday. The bay's on fire right now, isn't it, Steve? Hey, good evening, Jay. How are you? Yeah, still in Sunset. Same slip. Probably, I don't want to say I'll never change, but I'm real happy with where we're at. It's convenient. Bathroom's right there. I can park right in front of the Park right in front of the boat. It's just a pretty good setup. Why is that funky? That's going to stay the way it is. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Heidi, good evening. How are you? Oh, you're not blocked. Ed, you're not blocked. I don't know why you can't get into the page. I didn't block you. I promise you, I didn't block you. Hey, Nancy. Bernie says he's been doing a lot of hinge and clear cutting in his woods and made a huge difference. So are you going to make it to Canada, bearing down? I'm going to make it to Canada. That's my plan. I'm going to go up there next Friday. And like I said, the first respectable bear that walks in front of me is going to get an arrow through the lungs. We might have to drive down to Point Au Gray and view the big waves after Wednesday Night Live. Where is your new place, Craig? It's in Au Gray, isn't it? And right on the water? How cool. But that's a heck of a drive for you to work, isn't it? Is that why you got the EV? Good evening, Al. I don't recognize your name. Appreciate you joining us on Wednesday Night Live. Hey, Patrick. Probably will. It's just a dry cough, just an allergy cough. No makers in there yet, but there will be later. All right, so I told you who's on the show this week, what the plans are. Hey, Tyler, haven't heard from you in a while. How's life? Oh, I also did a Primal podcast today with a guy named Chris Seaton. Does the name Chris Seaton, Seaton, Chris Seaton, does that mean anything to you? It didn't to me either, I'll be honest. It's on the river in Au Gray. Hour drive each way. The EV is great. So can you park the boat right in front of the house on the river, Craig? We should come up and do a river cruise with you then. Chris Seaton is the guy who came up with the technology for see-through ground blinds. Joe checking in from Germfast again, just like he was this morning. Joe, appreciate you being along with us. Chris is the guy. He's got a company called Rugged Cross Blinds. They also make hard-sided blinds, but he's the guy who came up with the technology of see-through hunting blinds, the one-way see-through. You can see out, but the critters can't see in. They're so popular these days. Double Bull started it first, and then everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. I talked with him about how he came up with that technology. He's also working very closely with Bob Ransom and Primal Outdoors. That was the tie-in to doing the Primal podcast. But it's pretty cool. He came up with that as a way to get his 4-year-old son in the blind so he could see out without lifting him up to see over the windows. Pretty cool conversation. That should be uploaded. It's edited. Not that there was any editing to do. Tyler says, life is good. Turkeys and mosquitoes are kicking my butt. Fishing it is. Park out in front. Came up anytime. Nice. Yeah, Scott. I did get my boat. It's basically, it's a pro troll like the one you've got. This one's an 85-26, so it's 26 feet long, 8.5 feet wide. It's got a 300 horse Mercury 4-stroke XS on it. It's at Linwood Beach right now. Jason Graham has it all tweaked. Oh, they also moved my transducer a little bit. Jason says you're never going to read at speed with that transducer where it is. And that's always been a problem I've had with an Angler Qwest. I've never had an Angler Qwest that could actually mark bottom, let alone mark fish at anything above like 25, 30 miles an hour or 25 miles an hour. So Jason said he tweaked that a little bit. So I'm thinking I should be good to go. Now Scott is from the Walleye for Warriors event. Two things I think Scott is known for. 3 things. First of all, he's known for being a good guy. Secondly, Scott, in my opinion, is not in my opinion, he's known as the guy who won the first Angler Qwest Owners Tournament on Saginaw Bay last summer. And he will forever be the guy who won the first Angler Qwest Owners Tournament on Saginaw Bay. He's also the head guy at Walleye for Warriors. Walleye for Warriors is going on out of Linwood Beach, June 10th and 11th. The field is full. They have all the captains they need. They have all the vets they need. But I would encourage you Sunday, If you're not doing anything, come on out Sunday afternoon and watch the boats come back in the channel. It's a pretty cool sight. I'm not fishing the event, but I will be there to help welcome the boats back in, and I will be there to help MC the event. The website walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org. Jerry checking in from the Adirondacks in New York. Oh, Jerry, I was thinking you met your Adirondack chair on the back deck. That's where if I was checking in from the Adirondack, I'd be checking in from my Adirondack chair out on the patio. Evening, Bruce. How are you? So yeah, I'm excited to get the new AQ on the water. I'm not excited about breaking in a new motor. You're supposed to get like 20 hours on those things before you troll with them. That is absolutely impossible. There's no way I'll get 20 hours on that motor. I'll be lucky if I get 10. Probably more like 5. And the way I will get that is I will motor out on my big motor to put some time on it. And then I'll drop the bow mount in and troll with that. And then once my big motor gets broken in, I'll never use that bow mount again. I won't. Some people do. I don't. Memorial weekend. Let's please keep in mind that this big long weekend coming up, chilly in Petoskey, chilly down here too, Elmer. Your Adirondack couch. Working on a live feed for Sunday, more coming soon. You might be out on AQ doing interviews. It's easy enough, Scott. Honestly, if it's easy, especially if you just did a Facebook Live, you just do it from your phone. Hey, Chris, it was nice talking with you as well. I've already told folks you were on the show this week talking about summertime, nighttime coyote hunting. Rick says, I'd like to hear more about that transducer when you get it back. I'll take a picture of it, Rick. Let's see. Let me see. Jason sent me a picture of the way it was. Let me see if I can share that with you real quick. Boom. Let's send this to photos. And now from photos, I will. Yeah, I'm going to be able to do this. If you give me just a second. File, export, one photo, boom. To the desktop. Okay. So let me bring this in. Slides. Your computer. Don't show. No, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. No. No. Nope. I was hoping to show you the picture of that transducer. Because it looks like it should work just fine there. But Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters made it even better. John says Chris puts a hurt on those coyotes. He sure does. Charles says the wife is making cheesy venison on cheesy rice for dinner tonight. You're a lucky man. Scott says it was a slaughter fest yesterday in Skinny Water. I won't post it on Facebook. I will do something with it later, but I won't just take a random. It'll be too hard to set up. So I will post something later on. Scott, what is Skinny Water? What do you mean by Skinny Water? Everybody's got their own definition of Skinny Water. For some people, all of Saginaw Bay is Skinny Water. But I will talk about it. Yeah, talk. I'll talk about it. It's a good sized boat. It's a 26 footer, Elmer. And yeah, it looks pretty big next to that ZR2. And the ZR2 is a pretty good sized truck. 10 to 14. Yeah, I'd go along with that. And it was a slaughter fest. You're killing me. I will. The plan is for me. The first time I'm going to possibly be able to get out is maybe for a couple hours on Sunday. If I don't get out Sunday, I'm not getting out till I get back from bear hunt. So I really need to try to get out Sunday to do a little shakedown cruise to see how this boat's going to fish, to get all my stuff stashed in it. The stuff was all my gear was in a storage unit, so I need to get that out of the storage unit, get it on the boat, need to get the rods on there. So that's a little bit of a process, and that'll take a little while. Oh, I did not know that. VP for Walleye for Warriors, Tony Bosco, who passed this weekend from injuries from a car accident. He's been around since day one of Walleye for Warriors. I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that, Scott. Thanks for letting me know. Dropped in at 10 feet of water, 7 a.m., jumping all over night crawler harnesses. No, you don't like crawlers. This whole crawler thing with me, as much as anything, is a joke just to kind of piss people off because they say, Avery, what, you're too good to fish crawlers? And I'm actually, the reason I don't like crawlers, I don't like trolling at a mile and a half an hour. It just drives me absolutely bonkers. But if I could take a spoon, a worm burner spoon, and put a crawler behind a spoon and troll at 2.5 miles an hour, I wouldn't have a problem with that. And I just might do that this summer. But you'll never see me trolling crawler harnesses at 1.1 miles an hour. I'd rather jump overboard and swim back to shore than troll crawler harnesses at 1.1 miles an hour. Missing the action, eh, Joe? Tyler says he's curious to see how this northeast blow today and tomorrow affects everything on the inner bay. Could be good, could be bad. Well, I'm certainly hoping it's good because it could put an early end to this action that's been on fire, eh? Johnny says his brother Dave fished the bay Sunday. They got 33, not sure how many were on the boat. Johnny said I told him he'll never fish for walleye pier again. Well, Johnny Bowler, when you come down, you're going to be fishing with Ross, and we'll be in the skinny water. I guarantee you we will start in the skinny water, and there's fish in the skinny water. That's where we'll stay. If we have to go deeper, we will, but we will start in the skinny water. Back surgery, Brad. That's no good. How are you feeling? Oh, man. That's not one you want. Oh, we'll troll at 1.5. Hey, Scott. I ain't trolling at 1.5 either. Kayak fishing. How cool is that? Yeah, Scott, that's usually my plan. You know where I like to start. I start there, and if nothing is happening, I'll go northeast and east. And there will be fish in there somewhere for sure. Same depth, about 2 miles. Yeah. Yep. All the way over to Callahan. That whole stretch in there is good. Elliot says he gets the same crap for chasing steelhead with flies only and no kill. It's the way he likes to fish. Don't really care what people think. It's what I prefer. Do they call you an elitist, Elliot? Because when I say I don't like to fish with crawlers, well, Avery, you're too good. You're an elitist. Yeah, I'm an elitist, all right. Can't wait, eh, Johnny? John says having one of those Michigan brand hams for dinner. Very good. They are very good. Very good indeed. Elliot's a guy. I want to be Elliot. I want to work on the railroad. I think that would be the coolest job in the world. All the time, Elliot says. What does that mean? Fish the poker table? Oh, it means you were playing poker this weekend? Well, did you catch anything? Hey, can we talk about fawns for a minute? And I don't know why all of a sudden fawns and talk are coming out of my mouth like that. I want to talk about some fawns. I don't know why it's coming out that way. Okay. See, I don't know that, Elliot. He says it's a rough and tough life. I just want to be up in the train just for a couple miles. That would be so cool. 3 lumbar injections. Haven't seen one. Fawns, they're dropping. They're dropping. Let's talk about them for a second. Oh, my job is wonderful, Scott. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I'm blessed to have the best job that I possibly could. But I would like I'd like to be up on a train. Maybe not for a job, just to do it. Oh, Johnny's using terms like spark plug already. Wow. That didn't take long, Johnny. Scott says, watch the deer. They're getting smacked everywhere. Elliot says, I might be able to get you on a train ride. That would be so cool. So cool. Josh had 2 fawns yesterday. So I want to talk about fawns for a second. I get a lot of grief with my stance on fawns. And my stance is you never pick one up. Ever, ever, ever. There's no reason, in my opinion, to ever pick up a fawn. Because for the most part, that fawn you think is abandoned is not. She was stashed there by the doe. She's not abandoned. The fawn is not abandoned. And even if the fawn was by chance abandoned, which it's not, what good are you doing that wild animal by picking it up and taking it out of its environment? It's my contention that you let Mother Nature do her thing. And if that thing for that fawn is to get eaten by a bear or eaten by a coyote or eaten by an eagle, so be it. I don't believe you're doing that fawn any good by taking it out of its natural environment, its wild environment, and bringing it to even a rehabilitator. You're still habituating that animal on people. Oh, I'm going to bring it into the barn and I'm going to feed it and I'm going to keep it warm. You took a wild animal and you domesticated it. Number one, it's illegal. You can't do it. And I just think it's immoral and unethical. I think it's the wrong thing to do. I don't care. Well, it's abandoned. No, it's not. And even if you see the doe lying on the side of the road where she just got hit by a car, and the last thing she does in this world is to give birth to that fawn, so you know that fawn is abandoned, and that's the only way I will ever accept the situation that it was abandoned. Even then, leave it. Leave it. Do not pick it up. Wednesday night live on a train. That's probably not going to happen. If I'm going to be on a train, I'm going to enjoy the experience myself. Lots of fawns get killed during hay cutting. Exactly. When I was a kid growing up on the farm, the hay binds used to take those things out all the time. Yep. Because if those would stash them out in a hay field, and the mower or the hay bind would come along, and Kevin says, leave him alone. Elmer says, leave him alone. Harry says, evening, Captain. How are you, Harry? Good evening. How are you? Jim, let nature be nature. Agreed. Never touch a wild truth. Been surviving for years. Feral cat. Don't get me started on feral cats. Between you and me, if I see a cat out in the woods, it's just between us. Hypothetically, I'm not saying I've done it. I'm not saying I would do it. But in theory, if I was to see a cat wandering around out in the woods, I would probably be inclined to make sure that that cat never killed another baby pheasant or another baby turkey or anything like that. I'm not saying I've done that, but it's a thought. Scott says that first cutting is bad on fawns. Debbie says Peyton and Rai say, hi, Uncle Mike. Patty, Rai. Hey, kids, how are you? Be good. Being a good boy and girl? I know you are, because you are good boys and girls. Justin, good evening. Owasso. Won't see it again. I don't know what that means. Scott says he's got a lot of cats. Joe says open season on feral cats. I'll be honest. I didn't know that it was illegal to shoot dogs running deer. I found that out. See, when I was a kid growing up on a farm, if you saw a dog run deer, you shot it. Okay. Statute of limitations is over. This is a long time ago. You shot it. And then I started hanging around with a bunch of game wardens. And if they saw a dog running a deer, they shot it. So I'm thinking if I see a dog running a deer, I shoot it. And I made the mistake of mentioning that on the air on the radio show one time. And oh boy, did I get in trouble. They said, Avery, you can't do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. I'm like, well, actually, no, I didn't know it was illegal. Let's see. Where are we at? Hey, Jerry, good evening. How are you? Coons? Yeah, but coons are predators, yes. But I feel a little differently about coons. They're a wild animal. I mean, they're supposed to be out there. That stupid cat isn't supposed to be out there. All that from that old show eats cat. I don't know what that means. Joe says he feels the same way. Had a stuck fawn encounter last year on a property he cut, set it free without touching it. Mom was nearby and not happy. Yeah, it's leave them alone. Leave them alone. Now they are beautiful. I admit, a newborn fawn curled up in a ball on the forest floor with sunlight coming through the trees, hitting it just right is one of the most beautiful sights you can do. And there's nothing wrong with taking a picture of that. Just keep a little distance. Take a picture of that. Just don't, then just back out and leave the fawn alone. Alf was an alien on a TV. Okay, Alf. Okay, let me go back to the Alf. Oh, all that. Alf. Gotcha. From that old show that eats cats. Have to be really hungry to eat a cat, wouldn't you? I remember Alf. I'm a little too old to know Alf very well. Looking for a dinner train. Does Amtrak do dinner trains? Can you have dinner on an Amtrak? I don't think that's a thing anymore either, huh? Lucky for me, those two dogs were going to attack me after they caught that deer. That's what I'm going to say. Told to say by the guy in uniform. Tell you what, I had an interesting situation. It's been 2 years now, possibly even 3 now. I was doing my morning walk, and I walked by a yard here in the city. They had a Great Pyrenees, and I knew this Great Pyrenees to be a very vocal dog, and he did a very good job of protecting his property. And I respected that because there are kids in the yard, and this Great Pyrenees is always standing guard over the kids, and he barks his head off. But but there's an invisible fence there, and I never had one come through I never had him cross the invisible fence before. But one morning about 7:30, I'm walking by there, and he barks and he growls, and I didn't give it a second thought because he always does. I had my AirPods in, I'm listening to a book, and I just kept walking by. About 10 seconds later, I feel something hit me from behind, and it's that Great Pyrenees. He had crossed the invisible fence, came up behind, hit me, and bit me in the back of the leg. I almost shot him. I did reach for my gun, and I was able to back him down. He was coming at me, and I was yelling at him, and I tried to be aggressive to him, told him to go home, bad dog, go home, and he backed off a little bit. Had he continued to come at me, I wouldn't have had a choice but to shoot that dog. I didn't want to shoot him because, number one, I knew it was going to be a real hassle. I didn't want to shoot him in front of his family's house. I knew they had kids. I didn't want to shoot the white dog and have the kids walk out there and the parents walk out there and see this red colored dog in the middle of the street. But it was not a good situation. And I told that story on the air, and every one of my cop buddies said, you should have shot that dog because if he will attack you, he might attack somebody else. And what if he actually attacks a kid or an old person walking by there? They said you would have been completely justified. I would have been in so much trouble. So if I would have shot the dog, the story would have been outdoor broadcaster kills family pet in front of kids. That would have been the headline. The headline should have been responsible gun owner chooses not to shoot dog while under attack. That should have been the story, but it wouldn't have been. That's the way I tell the story. But Cornwall flooding's back here. Let's see what we got here. Clear partisan vote on saving Cornwall floodings was defeated by the power in Lansing. Sad to say they don't care about nature. Blissfield, dinner murder mystery train excursion in Blissfield. This deal of killing coons, possums, skunks, doing damage on your property year-round is a good thing. We are overwhelmed with the coons in the cornfield last year, causing major crop damage. I want to go back to the comment about the powers in Lansing. Did you see that the governoress signed the red flag law? So every gun control measure that she wanted to put into place, as far as I know, has been passed or is going to pass. I keep asking myself, and my wife Denise and I have this conversation, is how long will good people continue to be led down the wrong path in the wrong direction by corrupt politicians before good people stand up and say, I've had enough? I feel like it's got to happen. And I'm not promoting such things. I'm not saying, I don't know. I don't know how long good people can sit back and be good people when the world and politicians and society continue to try to push us in the wrong direction. Jeremy said he's been in the same situation. Cussed out the owner, told her he was going to shoot. I've got another dog, Jeremy. It seems like I've got a lot of dogs on our walking route. I walked by the house and the dog came over the fence at me. It didn't come completely over the fence, but it got its head over and it was very, very aggressive. And boy, it pissed me off. I mean, it really, really made me mad to the point where I walked around to the front of the house. Well, I started yelling at that dog too, and he ended up going back into the house. So I yelled at that dog for a long time. I walked around to the front of the house and I was mad. I'm like, this is, I'm going to put an end to this. People should not be afraid to walk down a public street because of a dog. And I knocked on the door, pounded on the door. They wouldn't answer. I rang the doorbell. By now the dog's inside. He's barking at me through the window. So I know they're in the house. I will still talk with them. I will find them outside and I will talk with them sometime as soon as I get a chance. Saying, this is not right. You can't have people afraid to walk down a public street because of your dog. Now, granted, he's behind a fence, but the fence is about 2 feet too short. He's never come over the fence at me or my wife, but just about. And it's just a matter of time before he will. And yeah. Okay, so what else? Yeah, well, I know, Justin. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Because good people don't have time to deal with the crap because they're out making a living and taking care of their families. And I'm talking to the federal level here, how does a politician that makes $150,000 a year or whatever the number is be a politician for 10 years and end up a multimillionaire? How does that happen? I didn't, Gene. Gene built the helm on my new Angler Qwest. The folks at Linwood Beach have put her in the water. They've given her a shakedown cruise. She's running good. So I haven't yet. It's sitting at Linwood Beach right now. And I'm going to grab her on Friday and run her across the bay over to my slip at the mouth of the river. It changes the way you look at dogs, doesn't it, John? I was never afraid of dogs before, and I'm still not afraid of dogs, but I have they make me nervous now. Dogs that I don't know make me nervous now, and they never did before, and I resent that. I resent that people let that happen because their dogs Um, I like that. Well, I know that was kind of a yeah, when I asked the question, it was kind of a what's the word? Facetious question. I do like it, Gene. Thank you. We're kind of getting off the outdoor track there here, though, aren't we? I don't want to do that too much. All right, so I'll be back in the studio Friday. I agree with you, Vance. Why would somebody own an aggressive dog? Why do you want that around? Why do you want that liability? Now, we used to have farm dogs that were pretty aggressive if strangers came in the yard, and I get that. And the place I was turkey hunting last, they had a great big lab, and he was pretty protective of the property and the people there too, and that's fine. That's great. I get that. But just to be openly aggressive, Heidi said, "You see, they left the ability for them to go judge shop for the red flag law." I did not, but it just makes me so mad that this was all put forward as common sense gun laws when there's no common sense to it. But if you go against a common sense law, then you must not have any common sense. It's really it's getting out of hand. How's the new pontoon? Good. It's their job, Tim says. It's their job. That's what they get paid for. Okay, so back in the studio Friday. I will run the new Angler Qwest across the bay on Friday. Sunday, I hope to take her out for a couple of hours. I got to work Monday, Memorial Day. Tuesday, we have an appointment downstate. Wednesday, back in the studio for another Wednesday night live last week. And then I'm off to Ontario for a bear hunt. I think it'll be a quick hunt. Jeremy is waiting on this northeast wind to settle down to get back trolling. Keep those walleye rolling. Johnny says his dogs are Democrats. They don't do anything. Johnny, that's not very nice. Did you really mean to say that, Johnny? It's so rude. Why aren't you over at Andy's? What does this mean? It means it's time to wrap up this edition of Wednesday Night Live. I like that music. I hope you do as well. Turn it down so you can hear me. All right, my friends, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to go take about a 3-mile walk, or I'm going to go on the patio and pour myself a big Maker's Mark and a cigar. I haven't decided which it's going to be yet. Should be a no-brainer, right? All right, my friends, have a good night. My name is Mike Avery. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Exactly. The meaning of Memorial Weekend. Remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so we can enjoy the freedoms that we have. Have a good night, my friends. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live.